Human nature took care of the rest. Carla squeezed my arm. You came up here to tell us that you set up my ex-husband? Carla asked. I came up here to warn your boyfriend, Concannon said, straightening up. And you're gonna take a warning home again, Concannon. There you go again, he said, happily exasperated. You are the hardest man in this whole city of screechin' heathens to befriend. I know executioners who are more fun than you. I'm tryin' to tell you, I'm a changed man. I don't see a change, I said. You're still breathing. There's those wicked thoughts again. Listen, he said calmly, I've done with all that. I'm a businessman now, and legitimately so. The fact that I bear you no grudge for our last encounter should testify to that. You just never learn, do you? But I did learn, he insisted. That's what I'm tryin' to say. After that fight we had, I thought about everything. I mean, everything. I got hurt, you see. My shoulder hasn't healed well, and it doesn't work the way it should. My timing's off, and I'll never again fight the way I did. See, I never before let anyone get close enough to best me, and it shook me up. My road to Damascus experience was in a warehouse in Bombay, and it was an Australian convict who knocked me off my horse. I've changed. I'm a businessman, now. What kind of business? Carla asked, relaxing her grip on my arm. I've put all my money into a venture with Dennis. The sleeping Baba? The same. One fine day, I got to thinking about that proverb, you know, that if you sit quietly by a river for long enough, the bodies of your enemies will float by. I wanted Concannon to float by, on the Ganges. And it occurred to me, in another road to Damascus moment, that the river isn't made of water, it's made of stainless steel. It's the undertaker's table, you see? So, Dennis and me, we bought an undertaking business, and now we're undertakers. Already, since we started, one of my enemies floated by on the preparation table. A fine drunken laugh I had that night, dressin' him up nicely for the drop. Dennis went for this? I asked. We're a natural fit. I know what dead looks like, and he knows what dead feels like. I've never seen a man more tender with a body. He calls them sleepers, and he talks to them like they're just asleep. It's very kind, very tender, but I keep a baseball bat handy, in case one of them ever talks back. Concannon stopped, clapped his hands together, then put the swollen knuckles into a knotted pyramid of prayer. I know it's hard to think that a menace to the living and the dead, like me, can give the whole thing up, but it's the truth. I've changed, and the proof of it is that I've come up here, riskin' your temper, to tell you two things. The first, I've already told you, which is all that I know about Ranjit, and that sweet girl. And the second thing? Carla asked for me. The second thing is that the 307 company have hired some out-of-town goondas to kill that Iranian, Abdullah, tonight. And since Abdullah's hiding out up here, that puts you two in the firing line. When will they come? I asked. Concannon checked his watch, and grinned the reply. In about 3 hours, he said. You'd have had longer, if you weren't so bloody obstreperous, and I could have cleared me mind without interruption. For all I knew, Concannon was setting us up. I didn't like it. Why are you telling us this? Carla asked. I'm tying up loose ends, miss, Concannon smiled. I never had nothin' against your man. I tried to recruit the stubborn fool, and I wouldn't have done that, if I hadn't taken a shine to him. I treated him poorly, when it was Abdullah that I hated, because he turned on me, and threatened my life. Stop talking about Abdullah, I said. But I don't hate him anymore, he persisted. He did nothing wrong, even if he is an Iranian person. It was me that did wrong, and I admit it freely. Anyway, the Iranian will likely meet his end, tonight. And now I found a place where I feel at home, and in one way or another, I know I'll find peace, as other people kill my enemies and send them to me. I'll be with my own kind, so to speak. I don't know if you understand. We understand, Carla said, although I didn't. Do you believe me, when I say that I have no quarrel with either of you, and that I wish you no harm? No, I said. Goodbye, Concannon. They say he's a writer, Concannon winked at Carla. They must be teeny-weeny little books that he writes. He's the big book, Carla gave back. I'm the big character. Thank you, Concannon, for the heads up. What's your first name, by the way? Fergus, I said before he did, and he laughed, jumping from the car with his arms wide. You do like me. I knew it. Will you stab me, if I give you a hug? Yes. Don't come back. He let his arms fall slowly, smiled at Carla, and walked a few steps backwards to his car. "There's no use in calling the police," he said at the car. "There's a lot of money been paid to keep this mountain dark tonight, until the Iranian is dead, once and for all." He started the car, locked the wheel, hit the gas and spun around beside us, his arm resting on the open window. "Would you like some dynamite?" he asked. "I've a box full in the back, and no purpose for it at all, now." "Maybe next time," Carla smiled, waving him away. The twinned tail lights on either side of the car were bats, swooping into the first curve. She turned to me quickly, waking the queens. "We haven't seen Abdullah up here, so he must be at Khalid's." "We've gotta warn him." "Agreed," and then Silvano and the students. "This might spill up the hill to Idris." She braced herself for the run to Khalid's mansion, but I held her back. "Can we talk about something, before we talk to Khalid?" "Sure," she said, relaxing from a run almost started. "What's up? You know how we said we'll always be together?" She looked at me, hands on hips. "I'm not hiding in a hollow tree, Shantaram," she said, the squint in her smile scanning me. "I don't mean that. I'm trying to explain something. Now, if things get rough tonight, don't separate from me. Stick to my side, or my back. Lock your elbow in mine, if you have to. If we're back to back, you shoot, and I'll cut. But let's be one thing, because if we're not, I'll go nuts worrying about you." She laughed, and hugged me, so I guess some part of it must have been right. "Let's go," she said, getting ready for the run to Khalid's. "Wait," I said. "Again? Maybe next time?" I said, repeating her final words to Concannon. "What? You said maybe next time to Concannon, when he offered us dynamite. Now? You're bringing this up now?" "Concannon isn't a next time guy. He's a one-time guy, and half a planet is almost far enough away." "You don't believe in redemption?" She was adorable when she teased, but we were talking about Concannon, and there were killers coming to the mountain to kill our friend. "I don't believe Concannon," I replied. "The overtaking version, or the undertaking version. I don't believe anything he says. This could be a trap." "Good," she shouted, sprinting up the path. "Coming?" Chapter 83. We heard music and chanting, hundreds of voices in harmony, as we turned the last bend on the tree-lined path to Khalid's mansion. It was lit like a prison, with spotlights fixed to trees. "His flock must have grown," Carla said quietly, as we stopped together on the path before the steps, looking at the floodlit veranda. "That's quite a chorus." The trees around us, bleached of leaves by spotlights, were startled skeletons with their hands in the air. The chanting was intense, the singers drunk on devotion. Khalid walked out through the wide doorway and onto the veranda, his hands on his hips. He was a shadow figure, black against the lights that were slow burning our eyes. He had two shadow figures with him. He raised his hand, and the devoted chanting stopped. Insects sang the silence again. "Salam alaikum," he said. "Wa alaikum salam," Carla and I both said. Very loud, very big dogs started barking somewhere. It was a sound that makes you think of sharp teeth and running away. Carla slipped her elbow through mine. The barking was ferocious. Khalid raised his hand again, and the barking stopped. "Sorry, wrong tape," he said, handing a remote control to a shadow figure. "What are you doing here, Lynn?" "We came to see Abdullah," Carla said. "What are you doing here, Lynn?" "Like she said," I replied. "Where is he?" "Abdullah has cleansed himself for death, and is at prayer," Khalid replied. "No one can disturb him. Not even me. He is alone with Allah." "They're coming for him," I said. "We know," Khalid said. "There are no students here. The ashram has been closed for some time. We are." The chanting started again. After a few frenzies it stopped, mid-mantra. "Stop playing with the remote, Jabala," Khalid shouted over his shoulder. Insects and frogs welcomed the silence again. "We are ready for war," Khalid said. "Now, where have I read that before?" Carla said. Khalid held up his hand imperially. "I am the one who spread the rumor that Abdullah is here. I am the one who provoked this attack, out of the city. This is a trap, Lynn, and you are standing in it." Dogs barked again. "Jabala," Khalid shouted, and tape stopped. Khalid walked down the silence, to join us on the path. He'd lost half the weight he'd gained, and had been training again. He looked fit, strong, confident and dangerous. It seemed that he'd learned to love himself. He took my hands in his, leaning close between us, but he spoke to Carla in whispers. "Hello, Carla," he said, embracing me. "I cannot greet you, directly, in front of my men, because you are a woman, in the company of a man who is not your family." He hugged me close to him, whispering into my ear for the sake of his men, but speaking to her. "My commiserations on the loss of your husband. You must leave this place, now. There will be war tonight." He pulled away, but I held his arm. "You knew about this, and you didn't warn us? You are warned now, Lin, and you should take that as a blessing. You must leave. My men are nervous. Let's not have any accidents." "Allah Hafiz, Khalid," Carla said, dragging me away. "Tell Abdullah. Tell him we're here, on the mountain, if he needs us," I said. "I'll tell him, but I can only speak to him when the fighting begins," Khalid answered sadly. "Peace be with you both tonight." He waved, because we were at the end of the path, and it was too far away for him to speak his mind. We waved back, and we jogged to the start of the long climb up the mountain. I stopped her. It was dark, but reflections glittered in her eyes. "Can I tell you something? Again?" She laughed. "It might get bad tonight," I said. "If you want to get far away, I'll take you anywhere you want to go." "Let's go warn Idris first," she smiled, starting on the path. I chased her all the way up the slope, and we were puffing hard when we rushed onto the mesa, bright with students, talking late by the fire. We found Silvano, and pushed him to a meeting with Idris, in the big cave. "Killers," Idris said, when the story told itself. "And pretty good at it," I said. "We've gotta get away from here, Idris. At least for tonight. Of course. We must take the students to safety. I'll give the instruction at once." "I will stay and protect this place," Silvano said. "You must not," Idris said. "You must come with us." "I must disobey," Silvano replied. "You must come with us," Idris repeated. "It's just good sense, Silvano," I agreed. "If someone from down there tries to escape up here, and others start chasing him, nobody will be safe." "I must stay, Master G," Silvano said. "And you must go." "It is possible to be too brave, Silvano," Idris said. "Just as it is possible to be too loyal." "All of your writings are here, Master G," Silvano said. "More than 50 boxes of them, most of them unpacked for study. We cannot gather them together in the time we have. I will stay and guard your work." I admired his dedication, but it seemed like too big a risk, to me. Too high a price for the written word. Then Carla spoke. "We'll stay with you, Silvano," she said. "Carla," I began, but she smiled true love at me, and, "Well, what can you do? Looks like you've got company, Silvano," I sighed. "It is settled, then," Idris said. "Come with me, now, and gather the students together with their valuables, as quickly as possible. We will walk the slow path to the Kali Temple, where the highway begins. Send a message to us there, when all is quiet again in our sanctuary." "Idris," I said, "I feel bad that this has found its way up here. I'm sorry. Taking responsibility for the decisions and actions of others is a sin against karma," Idris said. "Equal, in gravity, to avoiding responsibility for your own decisions and actions. You did not cause this. It is not your karmic burden. Be safe tonight. You are blessed, all of you." He placed his hand on our heads, one by one, chanting mantras of protection. The students tipped their personal belongings into shawls, tied them into bundles, and assembled at the entrance to the slow path downhill, the torches and lanterns in their hands whirling like fireflies. Idris joined them, turning to wave to us, and led the way, the long staff in his right hand. Another student, named Vijay, had decided to stay with us. He was thin, tall, and dressed in white pajama-style cotton shirt and pants. He was barefoot, and carrying a bamboo pole that reached to his shoulder. His young face was expressionless, as he watched his teacher depart. He turned his fine features on me, eyes lit with India. "Are you fine?" he asked. I looked at his bamboo stick, remembering the men I'd fought in the last year, from scorpions to Concanon, and thinking that it might be a good idea to tie a knife to the end of that stick. "I'm fine," I said. "I've got a spare knife, if you want to tie it to that stick." He stood back, began to whirl the stick around, jumped while he whirled, and brought the stick down a toe away from my boot. "Or, maybe not," I said. "Shall we split up, and take different vantage points?" Silvano asked. "No," Carla and I said, together. Anyone who comes up here, comes onto our ground, I said. We find a position with cover, with an escape route, where we can see the top of the climbing path. If anyone comes into the open space, we can scare them away with gunfire and noise. And if it becomes a fight? We kill them, Carla said, before they kill us. You're a dead shot, Silvano, and I'm not bad. We're okay. Or, I suggested, we could escape, regroup, and wait it out. There are plenty of places to hide, and they can't stay on this mountain forever. I say we fight, the student with the stick said. I say we decide to run or to fight, when we have to decide, I said. I agree that we should have a good place of cover, Silvano mused. The cave nearest to the path is the best place to see them coming. No exit strategy, I said. I always like a way out. There is a way out, Silvano said. Let me show you. There was a curtain at the far end of the cave. I'd seen it, but had always thought that it hung there to cover the bare cave wall. Silvano pushed it aside, and led us by torchlight along a narrow channel that had formed or been carved between the first cave and the last. We emerged from the passageway into Idris's cave, close to the ragged edge of the jungle, only a few steps from cover. I like it, Carla said. I'd buy it and live here if I could. Me, too, I agreed. Let's get set up in the first cave. We don't have long. I don't know about you, Silvano said, rubbing his belly, but I'm hungry. We brought cold food, water, blankets and torches to the cave. I ate the plate of food Carla passed to me before I knew what it was. But when hunger was satisfied, fear started nagging. Carla, sitting beside me, and killers on the way. My instincts were shouting to get the hell out of hell. But she was calm and resolute. She'd finished her food and was cleaning her gun. She was humming, and I guess, when I look back at it, she always had enough guts for both of us. Where are the boxes of Idris's writings? I asked, looking away to Silvano. In the main cave, Silvano replied, finishing his food. Then let's keep any action away from there. A stray bullet could start a fire. Agreed. Vijay took Carla's plate and stacked it with the others outside the cave. I know this forest, Silvano said, standing and stretching. I will make a search of the area with Vijay. And I need to visit the bathroom. He walked out to join Vijay quickly, and they passed from sight, moving to the right. The point where the path led onto the mesa was to our left. So many feet had moved across the ridge that only wild grasses grew here and there. There was no moon yet, but it was a clear night, and we had a good view of the flattened space, 50 meters away. My heart was beating fast. I slowed it down, willing it calm, but thoughts of Carla hurt or captured pulled the heartbeat back again. She looked at me, and she knew how afraid I was for her. Make a big noise, and run and hide, she said, her mouth a beautiful sneer. That's your strategy? Carla. She, can you keep that one to yourself at the next meeting? I say we fight, the guy with the bamboo stick says, I laughed. That's a better strategy? I just don't think it's worth fighting for. A writer who doesn't think written wisdom is worth fighting for? No, I've escaped through windows, because the cops were chasing me, and I had to leave everything behind. It's all gone, that work, but I'm still here, and I'm still writing. No life is worth the written word. How so? Carla didn't ask how so unless it was a challenge. It's not because the texts are sacred that life is important. It's because life is sacred that the texts are important. She grinned happy queens at me. That's my guy. Let's get ready. We piled boxes and sacks in the entrance to the cave, and stretched out with a view of the open ridge. She held my hand. I wouldn't be anywhere else on this planet, right now, she said. I couldn't reply, because we heard the first shot. The further you are from a gunshot, the feebler the fear. The blast that deafens you, close to your ear, is a click of the fingers from far away. We heard the first shots, sounding like handclaps, and then it became volleys of applause. Silvano and Vijay scampered back to the cave, squatting down beside us. There's an army down there, Silvano said, listening to the spatters of gunfire. 2 armies, I said. And let's hope they stay there. The fusillades finally subsided. There was silence, and then single shots snapped, one after another, a few steps apart. There were quite a lot of them. We waited in the dark, listening hard to every broken twig or shuffle of wind. Minutes passed in threatening silence, and then we heard noises, grunting and moaning, coming from the steep path. Silvano and Vijay were up and running before I could caution them. Carla made to leave as well, but I held her down beside me. A man appeared at the summit of the path, crawling on hands and knees. Silvano was a shadow, standing to his right, aiming the rifle at his head. The man staggered to his feet. He had a pistol in his hand. Vijay swung his stick, disarming the man, but the pistol fired, and a bullet hit the wall of the cave not far from where we hunkered down. "Good call, Shantaram," Carla said. "That bullet had my name on it if I was standing there." The man hovered on wavering legs for a second and then fell, face flat to the ground. Vijay turned him over as Carla and I arrived. The man was dead. "You better check there wasn't a tail wagging on this one, Silvano," I said. "You know him? His name's De Silva. Which side was he on?" "The wrong side," I said. "Right to the end." Silvano and Vijay trotted away down the path to check for stragglers. Staring at the body, I knew that I couldn't let it be found in the camp where Idris taught. There was no choice. I had to move it. Carla had moved 2 bodies in her life. 2 that I knew about. I've moved 3. 1 in prison, 1 in a friend's house, and the dead gangster who hated me, De Silva. He was the hardest of them for both of us. "We can't leave him here for the cops to find," I said. "You're right," she replied. "This is the kind of scandal that kills cleverness. Not gonna be easy. That's a steep climb, with a dead body." "Yeah," she said, looking around, her hands on her hips. "We wrapped him in a student's sari and tied him securely. We fastened ropes for us to hold, at both ends. We were just finished when Silvano and Vijay arrived. Vijay's eyes were oysters of dread. A ghost? He was trembling, pointing at De Silva's wrapped body. "I hope so," I said. "We're taking him down to the house. There's no need for the cops to know he was up here." "Thank you," Silvano said quickly. "Let us help you." "We got this," Carla said. "They're our friends down there. They know us, but they don't know you, and they might start shooting if they see you. It'll be safer if we do this without you. Stay here and guard those books." "Okay." Silvano smiled, doubtfully. "Okay, if you insist." "Presto," Carla said, tugging on the dead man's rope. "This ghost has a way to go yet." Chapter 84. We dragged De Silva's body to the ridge and started down the path. I went first, taking most of the weight, while Carla held on as best she could from above. I felt ashamed that I hadn't protected her from that sad and criminal thing we had to do. More ashamed, in fact, than I was of doing the sad and criminal thing. I thought of Carla's hands, and the rough rope shredding her skin, and scratches and grazes wounding her feet with every second step. "Stop," she said when we were just past halfway. "What is it?" She took a few deep breaths, and shook the tension from her arms and shoulders. "Okay. This," she puffed, one hand wiping hair from her forehead, the other holding a dead man, "is officially the best date ever. Now, let's get this corpse down this fucking hill." At the base of the mountain, I carried De Silva's body on my back along the path to Khalid's mansion. The path was still lit, and the door of the mansion was open. It seemed deserted. We climbed the stairs together and walked into the vestibule. I slipped De Silva's body to the floor, and we began to untie him. "What are you doing?" Khalid asked, from behind me. I spun round to face him. He had a gun in his hand. "Salam alaikum, Khalid," Carla said, and she had a gun in her hand. "Wa alaikum salam," he responded. "What are you doing?" "Where's Abdullah?" I asked. "He's dead." "Ah, no, no," I said. "Please, no. May Allah take his soul," Carla said. "Are you sure he's dead?" I asked, choking the words. "Where is he?" There were 4 other dead men on top of him when I found him. One of them was Vishnu. I knew that arrogant thug would come here in person, to gloat. Now he's dead, and my company will take everything he had. "Where's Abdullah's body?" "With the bodies of my dead men," Khalid said. "In the dining room. And I ask you, for the last time, what are you doing here?" "This miscreant wandered too far," I said, pulling the cover back to reveal De Silva's face. "We're wandering him back. Is he one of yours, or theirs?" "He's the man we used to set up the trap," Khalid said. I shot him myself, after he served his purpose, but he got away. He got back, Carla said. Can we leave him here, Khaled? We want to keep Idris out of this. Leave him. My men will be back, soon, with the trucks. I'll put this one with the bodies we're throwing into the sewer tomorrow. I don't want to see Abdullah's body, Khaled, I said. Do you swear to me that he's dead? Wallah, he replied. I want to see him, Carla said to me. But you don't have to come. Everywhere together, never apart. But sometimes the two of you is something that only one of you must do. I'll come, I said, feeling sick already. I'll come. Khaled led us through a drawing room to the main dining room. 4 bodies were lying on the table neatly, like pavement dwellers sleeping together on the street. I saw Abdullah at once, his long black hair trailing over the edge of the table. I wanted to turn away. I wanted to run. That beautiful face, that lion heart, that fire in the sky. I couldn't bear to see it emptied and cold. But Carla went to him, put her head on his chest, and wept. I had to move. I drifted along the table, dead men's heads abreeze against my fingers, and took Abdullah's hand. The face was stern, and I was comforted to see it. He was wearing white, and it showed blood everywhere. A clear line crossed his brow, where his white cap had been, but his proud face, all eyebrows, nose and beard like a king of Sumer, was speckled and blotched everywhere else. He'd been shot and stabbed, but his reddened face was unmarked. It hurt inside like a cramp to see his time stopped. My own threads of time vibrated within me, one strand of the harmony silenced. It hurt to see no breath, no life, no love. It was hard to stare at a man still there, and already suffered for, and already missing. She was right, to make us cry. If you don't say goodbye, an Irish poet once said to me, you never say goodbye. And it took a long time to cry goodbye. Finally I let the dead hand fall, and let the myth of the man fall with it. Each one that leaves us, leaves an unfillable space. She came back with me to the veranda in control again, but grieving, and knowing that there was an empty cave inside both of us. A cave that would draw us again and again to sorrow, and remember. Khaled was waiting for us. You should hurry, he said. My company is very jumpy tonight. Your company? The Khaled company, Lynn, Khaled replied, frowning. This night, we took Vishnu's life, and now we take everything that Vishnu had. This night, the Khaled company is born. That was the plan. Abdullah's plan, in fact, to use himself as the bait. You know what, Khaled, I started to end it with him, but I stopped, because just then a man stepped out of a shadow. Salam alaikum, Shantaram, the Tuareg said. Wa alaikum salam, Tuareg, I said, standing closer to Carla. The Tuareg has been freelancing for me, Khaled said. He set all of this up. And now he's back home, in the Khaled company. You set this up, Tuareg? I did. And I kept you out of it, by sending you after the Irishman, the Tuareg said. Because you shook my hand. Goodbye, Khaled, I said. Allah Hafiz, Carla said, taking my arm on the steps, because we were both unsteady on our feet. Kuda Hafiz, Khaled replied. Until we meet again. When we reached the base of the mountain, Carla stopped me. Do you have the keys to State of Grace? I always have the keys to my bike, I said. You wanna ride? Oh, yeah, let's ride, she said. I'm so messed up that only freedom can save me. We rode to the temple, where Idris and the students were sheltering for the night, and told them that the danger was over. Idris sent a fit, young student to tell Silvano the news. We took a blessing from the sage and left. We rode the last hours before dawn, going nowhere the long way, the bike chattering machine talk on empty boulevards, with signals on both sides flashing green, because nobody in Bombay stopped, at that hour, for red. We parked the bike at the entrance to the slower, softer path to the mountain. I chained the bike to a young tree, so she wouldn't be afraid, and we walked the long, gentle, winding path to the mesa. Carla clung to me. I put an arm around her waist, supporting her, and making her steps a little lighter. Abdullah, she said softly, a few times. Abdullah. I remembered when she said it to make us laugh, on the steep climb. I remembered when Abdullah was a friend I could laugh with, and tease. We cried together as we walked. We reached the camp, and found students there, already bringing things back to function and faith. Okay, this is too busy, Carla said, leaning against my shoulder. Let's hit the grassy knoll. We headed for our makeshift tent on the knoll. I set her down there, unresisting, falling back onto a cushion as if into a dream, and within a minute she was asleep. We had a large water bottle in our kit of supplies. I soaked a towel and cleaned the cuts and grazes that I'd already imagined, and then found on her hands and feet. She moaned, from time to time, when cloth and water sent streaks into her sleeping mind, but didn't wake. When the wounds on her hands and feet were clean, I rubbed them with turmeric oil. It was the medicine that everyone on the mountain used for cuts and scratches. When I finished massaging oil into her scraped and cut feet, she curled onto her side and went deeper into that annihilating sleep. Abdullah, Abdullah. I took water into the forest, emptied myself, cleaned myself, scrubbed myself, and returned to find her sitting up, staring at our patch of sky. Are you okay? I asked. I'm okay, she said. Where were you? Cleaning up. After you cleaned the cuts on my hands and feet. I'm a sanitary guy. I settled in beside her, and she settled in beside me. He's gone, she said, her face against my chest. He's gone, I echoed. Day raised the blue banner, and sounds of life shuddered from sleep. A shout, a laugh, bird cry brazen in the light, and doves trembling stories of love. She slept again, and I was calm with her, in the peace that only sleeping love creates, while thoughts of Abdullah, bullet wounds in the mind, kept bleeding. He was self-discipline, he was kindness unto blood for a friend, and he was ruthless enough to shame his own honor, which I was, too, in my own way. I slept, at last, riding a wave of consolation in words Idris spoke, running through my mind again and again, sheep counting sheep. The mystery of love is what we will become, the phrase repeated. The mystery of love is what we will become. And the susurrus of syllables became the first gentle rain of the new monsoon, as we woke the next morning. Still wounded by the night, we returned to the camp as heavy rain filled the sky with seas, purified in ascension and pouring from tree shoulders, shaken in the wind. Rivulets played, making their own way through prior plans, and birds huddled on branches, not risking freedom's flight. Plants that had been thin apostrophes became paragraphs, and vines that had slumbered like snakes in winter writhed insolent in vivid new green. Baptized by the sky, the world was born again, and hope washed a year's dust and blood from the mountain. Part 15. Chapter 85. At the end of that first week of rain, after watching Silvano dance with students in a rare, sunny shower, and even Idris shake a step or two, leaning on his long staff, Carla and I made our way down the mountain for the last time. We didn't know that the steep path we took would vanish in a year or so, erased by nature. We didn't know that the mesa and the caves, too, would be overgrown not long after Idris and his students dismantled their camp and left for Varanasi. We didn't know that it was the last time we'd ever see him. We were bubbling stories about him all the way down to the highway, unaware that he was already a ghost of philosophy, continuing in us through memories and ideas alone. We didn't know that Idris was already as lost to us in time as Abdullah. We raced a black cloud all the way back to the birth of the peninsula, at Metro, and parked the bike under the arch beneath the Amritsar Hotel, just as a new storm hit. The tempest came at us from both sides of the archway, and we clung together, laughing as torrents scourged us. When the storm passed, we wiped the bike down together, Carla talking to her all the while like a psychic mechanic. We climbed the stairs to the lobby, and found it changed, after our weeks on the mountain. There was a glass refrigerator door, where Joswant's secret cabinet had been. He still had his swanky chair, but a swanky new glass and synthetic laminate counter replaced the wooden reception desk. Joswant himself was in a swanky suit, complete with a tie. What the hell, Joswant? I said. You've got to embrace change, man, Joswant said. Hello, Miss Carla. How lovely to see you again. Nice suit, Joswant, she replied. Thank you, Miss Carla. Do you think it fits okay? Very slimming. Come, say hi, but be careful, I'm dripping wet. I was still frowning old doubt on the new desk. What's the matter? He asked. Your reception desk looks like an airline counter. So? An airline counter is something you go to because you have to, not because you want to. You can visit the old desk anytime you want. Oleg bought it. It's in your rooms. Oleg. Damn, he's good. He beat me to it. The new desk's okay, Joswant, Carla said. Put a plant on the top shelf. and a nice big shell beside it, and maybe a blown glass paperweight on the second shelf. It'll soften things. I've got a shell you can borrow, if you like, and a paperweight that has a dandelion in it. Really? I'd love that. There's no rum in here, I said, wiping condensation off the glass door of his new refrigerated cabinet. And no cheese. There's a new menu, Joswant said, flipping a laminated card on the laminated airline counter. I didn't look at it. I liked the old menu. We didn't have an old menu, Joswant frowned. Exactly. The Lost Love Bureau is bringing a lot of people through the door now, and I have to present the right corporate image. You've got to get with the times, Lynn. I prefer it when the times get with me. Heads up, Joswant, Carla said. I've been thinking of making some changes to my rooms. Changes? Joswant asked, commerce tightening his new tie. Carla dismantled the Bedouin tent over the next few days, and we painted her rooms red, with black trim on the doors and doorways. Joswant couldn't complain, because he'd sold us the paint. She cut pictures from science magazines, and had them mounted in Bollywood gold frames. She framed a feather, and a leaf, and a page from a book of poems that she found floating in the breeze in a quiet street. The begging rain. Afterwards. When I am not with you. And you are alone enough. To count the nails in your heart. Studded like a treasure house door. When you arrange your silence. In the vase of an hour. Memories of our hands. And a spike of laughter. Coloring of my eyes. When you sit within the swell. Of heartbeat. The purple tide of daydream. Lapping at the shores of love. And your skin sings, perfume pierced. Surrender to this thought of me. As mimosas long for monsoon. I long for you. As crimson cactus flowers long for moon. I long for you. And in my afterwards. When I am not with you. My head turns to the window of life. And begs for rain. She put up large pictures of Petra Kelly and Ida Lupino, two of her heroes, in black Baroque frames. She took her balcony plants inside, and filled every corner with them, leaving a few outside to rotate in sunlight. I think she tried to recreate the mountain forest in a hotel suite, and she did a good job. No matter where you sat in the main room, you were looking at plants, or touched by them. And she installed a long, thin, stylized sculpture of a Trojan soldier, sculpted by Taj. I tried to put a plant in front of it, but she wouldn't let me. Really? It's because of this guy that you left the gallery. He's a good sculptor, Carla said, arranging the doomed soldier, even if he's not a terrific guy. I used it as a hat stand. I had to buy a hat, but it was worth it. And little by little, things settled down to the semblance of peace that's good enough, when you know enough about bad enough. Oleg's green rooms, as my rooms became to match the couch, were popular. Carla and I went to a few of his parties, and had a good time. We laughed our way through several more parties, listening to the crazy conversations being shouted next door, transmitted through our wall in high infidelity. The young Russian had given up on Irina, the girl he called his Karlisha, and as the pictures he'd given to the waiters at Leopold's faded and wrinkled, he stopped asking them if they'd seen her. Why do you call Irina Karlisha? I asked him once. I was in love with another girl named Irina, he replied, his perpetual smile fading in the half-light of reflection. She was my first love. It was the first time I ever really fell down, inside, with love for a girl. We were both 16, and it was over within a year, but I still felt unfaithful to her, the first Irina, by using the name. Karlisha was a pet name that my father used for his sister, my aunt, and I always liked it. So, you didn't feel unfaithful to Elena by going with Irina, but you felt unfaithful to your childhood sweetheart, by using the same name. You can only be unfaithful to someone you love, he said, frowning at my ignorance. And I was never in love with Elena. I was in love with Irina, and I'm in love with Karlisha. And the girls who come and go in your green room. I've given up hope that I will see Karlisha again, he replied, looking away. Didier's t-shirt strategy didn't work. Maybe it's just not meant to be. Do you think love might spark with one of these girls? No, he answered quickly, brightening again. I'm Russian. We our people love very hard and very deeply. It's why our writing and our music is so mad with passion. He worked madly and passionately with Naveen, and they became an intuitive team. Didier worked with them on a case that drew publicity, when they reunited lost lovers and uncovered a slavery ring at the same time, leading to arrests and the breakup of the gang. The dangerous, debonair Frenchman devoted more time and seriousness to the Lost Love Bureau after that, and when he wasn't holding court at Leopold's, he was always with the young detectives, working on a shockingly urgent case. Vincent sold his drug racket to a competitor and went back to the ashram with Ranve. He sent a letter to Carla, after a few weeks of penitent floor scrubbing, saying that he didn't really connect with the holy men at the ashram, but he got on well with the gardeners who grew their marijuana for them. He was happy, and he was working on a new business plan with Ranve. The Khaled Company didn't fund any movies, and when a cop was killed in the south, the truce between the police gang and the mafia gang was broken. Lightning Dillop worked triple shifts as the prisoner count grew. A journalist was beaten on her doorstep for telling the truth, and a politician was beaten in his home for not telling a lie. Skirmishes between the police and the Khaled Company at court hearings were commonplace and sometimes turned into riots. The company blamed every prosecution on religious bias, and the cops blamed every punch on criminal intent. Khaled's crown was slipping, and Abdullah wasn't there to set it straight. The mystic-turned-mafia don was losing control. His unnecessary violence was an insult to dishonest lawlessness, and everyone on Backstreet wanted him to stop. We couldn't stop Khaled, but we did stop Lightning Dillop. Carla said that she had a birthday present for me, and she wanted to give it to me early. I don't celebrate your birthday, I know. You want to know what the present is, or not? Okay. The cop that we got on the fetish tapes, Carla said. It's Lightning Dillop. Karma's a hammer, not a feather, I remembered Carla saying. Very interesting. Want to know what his fetish was? No. It involved a lot of sandwich wrap, Carla said. Please, stop, leaving only his insubordinates and his mouth exposed. Okay, enough. And in one part, the girl had to swat his privates with a fly swatter. Carla. A plastic one, of course, and then I put my fingers in my ears and said la 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 until she stopped. It was childish and beneath us both, and it worked. Okay, seeing as how it's your birthday present, and we can make him do anything that we want, Carla asked, a wicked smile shining from insurgency, what do you want to do with the Lightning Dillop film? I'm guessing you've already thought it through. I was thinking he should retire, Carla said, citing his remorse for having mistreated prisoners. Demoted, disgraced, and without a pension. Nice. Lightning Dillop has been digging his own grave for years, one kick at a time, Carla said. I think he's about ready to fall into it. When? I'll ask, no problem to deliver the message tomorrow, with a deadline for him to resign in 24 hours, or we go public. Sound right to you? No problem, I smiled, glad to be rid of him, and wondering who the next Lightning Dillop would be, and how much more we'd have to pay. I was also thinking he should retire to a village somewhere, far away, Carla mused. The one he came from might be nice. I'm pretty sure the people who watched him grow up will know what to do with him when he comes back. They'll do it in an isolated spot, if they know him well. Chapter 86. Gemini George was in a specially equipped room on the penthouse floor of the Mahesh Hotel, watched over by Scorpio George and a prestige of doctors. The hotel had provided specialists through international contacts, and Scorpio hired medical expertise from the best hospitals in India. It seemed that it might be too late for Gemini, whose thin body failed and faded day by day, but he always greeted each new expert with a joke and a smile. Scorpio made us suffer to see Gemini, because no one else stayed still long enough to suffer listening to him. I've been off my food, Scorpio said, as we stood outside the door to Gemini's room. And I've got a blister on my foot from pacing up and down, worrying about Gemini. And I deserve it, because it's all my fault. It's okay, Carla said, taking his hand. No one blames you, Scorpio. But it is my fault. If I hadn't been searching for that holy man, Gemini wouldn't have got dengue fever, and we'd be okay, like before. No one loves Gemini more than you do, Carla replied, as she opened the door. He knows that. Gemini was in a fully adjustable hospital bed, with tubes coming from too many places. A new plastic tent covered his bed. There were 2 nurses attending to him, checking data on machines arranged around the left side of the bed. He smiled at us as we approached. He looked bad. His thin body was the color of a cut persimmon, and his face revealed the skull beneath the smile. Hello, Carla, he said cheerily, although the sound of his voice was weak. Hello, Lynn, mate. So glad you've come. Damn good to see you again, man, I said. waving at him through the plastic tent. How about a game? Carla purred. Unless you think those meds you're on stole your edge. Can't play cards yet, although I'd love to. I'm in this plastic tent for a few weeks, you see, and they daren't take it off. My immune system's down, they say. I think the machines are just for show. They're keeping me alive with rubber bands and kindness. Me organs are shutting down, one by one, like people leaving a train, you know? Are you in pain, Gemini? Carla asked. He smiled, very slowly, sunlight burning shadows from a meadow. I'm right as rain, love, he said. They've got me on a drip. That's when you know you're dying, innit? When all the best drugs are suddenly legal, and you can have as much as you want. It's the upside of the downside, so to speak. I'd still like to play a few hands, Carla smiled, while we're all on the upside. Like I said, it's my immune system that's up the spout. That's why I got this tent. It's actually you that could hurt me. Funny, innit? Gemini George, a quitter? Carla teased. Of course you can play cards with us. We'll deal you a hand, and I'll hold the cards up for you without looking. You trust me, don't you? Carla never cheated at any game, and Gemini knew it. You'll have to clear it with them first, Gemini said, nodding at the nurses. They've got me on a pretty tight rein. Why don't we start? Carla replied, winking at the nurses. And if they get worried, we'll stop. Where are the cards? In the top drawer of the cabinet, just beside you. I opened the drawer. There was a deck of cards, a cheap watch, a small bell from a charm bracelet, a war medal that might have been his father's, a cross on a chain, and a wallet worn thin with patient penury. Carla pulled 3 chairs close to the bed. I gave her the cards, and she shuffled them, spilling out hands on the spare chair. She held Gemini's hand up to the plastic shield. The nurses checked the hand as closely as Gemini did. We'll call your cards 1 to 5, your left to your right, Carla said. Anything you want to throw, call it by number. When you have your hand, call it by number, and I'll rearrange it for you, okay? Got it, Gemini said. I sit pat. One of the nurses made a noise, clicking her tongue against her teeth. Gemini turned to her. Both nurses were shaking their heads. Gemini turned back again. On second thoughts, he said, throw 1 and 4, and give me 2 cards, please, Carla. The nurses nodded. Carla withdrew the unwanted cards, dealt 2 more into his hand, and showed them to him. They must have been good cards, because Gemini and the nurses poker faced us. I bet 50, Gemini said. Fight it out and stretch it out for me, Carla. I've got nowhere else to be, but in this game. I'll see your 50, and raise you 100, Carla said, if you've got the stomach tubes for it. I'm out, I said, throwing in my cards, and leaving the duel to Carla and Gemini. I'm so ready for this, Gemini laughed and coughed. Do your worst. I only play to win, Gemini. You know that. You remember that night, Gemini said, his smile a sunset in the valley of yesterday. The housewarming party we threw, me and Scorpio? Remember that night? Great party, I said. Good fun, Carla added. That was a great party. The best ever. That was the time of my life. You'll pull through, Carla said. There's plenty of pavement left in you, Gemini. Money time. Put up or shut up, street guy. We did the best we could for Gemini, and with a little help from his nurses he managed to cheat, for old time's sake, every time we played. We visited often, but at the end of every visit, away from Gemini's room, we argued with Scorpio that his zodiac twin should be in a hospital. Every time, Scorpio refused. Love has its own logic, just as it has its own foolishness. In another room of life and death, across the city, Farzad, the young forger, responded to treatment. As the blood clot on his brain dissolved, he recovered his speech and movement. A tremor that twitched his left eye closed, from time to time, reminded him that making cheeky remarks to vicious men ends viciously. The mysterious disappearance of Lightning Dilip reminded him, with a happier smile, that no one escapes karma. The 3 families shared the treasure, leaving a portion in a collective account to pay for the redecoration of their combined homes. They retained the domed space as the common area it had been, but took down the scaffolding, one freshly painted or remodeled section at a time, revealing the small basilica that it had become in the search. Carla liked the scatter of catwalks, reaching 3 floors above us, and she liked the happy mix of Parsis, Hindus and Muslims even more. While I went through paperwork with Arshan, once a week, bringing the illegal documents I'd created for him into line with his newly legal ones, Carla worked on the scaffolding with the families, paintbrush or power drill in hand. She was a river, not a stone, and every day was another curve in tomorrow's plane. She was pulled from a family she loved, and that loved her, she thought, until they took the word of a man, a friend and neighbor, who raped her. Years later, when she killed the rapist and went on the run, she severed every connection to her own life. She was runaway tough, a dancing cat, a green witch, and safe from everything but herself, like me. She used the money she'd made on the stock market to hire people, new friends and not quite strangers, giving them office space she'd rented in the Amritsar hotel. She was gathering a new family around her, as so many in the old family she'd found in Bombay left the island city, or died, or were dying, like Gemini George. I didn't know how much of the gathering she did at the Amritsar hotel was considered, and how much was unconscious instinct. But when she worked with the three families in the treasure hunter's palace, she settled quickly and happily into their routine, and I saw the hunger for it, in both of us. The desire that had matured into need. The word family is derived from the word famulus, meaning a servant, and in its early usage, familia, it literally meant the servants of a household. In its essence, the longing for family, and the ravenousness that the loss of family creates in us, isn't just for belonging. It's for the grace that abides in serving those we love. Chapter 87. It was a season of change, and the island city seemed to be sprucing itself up for a parade that hadn't been called. Road dividers wore gleaming new coats, painted by men who risked their lives at every stroke. Shops redecorated, and shoppers redecorated with them. New signs announced old privilege on every corner. And beloved mold, nature's comment on our plans, was scraped from buildings and painted over. "Why don't you like the new makeover?" a friend who owned a restaurant asked me, staring up at his freshly painted enterprise from the pavement. "I like the old makeover. Your paint job is dandy, but I like the one made by the last 4 monsoons." "Why?" "I like things that don't resist nature. You've got to keep up with the times, man," he said, holding his breath as he entered his renovated restaurant, because it was impossible to breathe and stay conscious at the same time, so close to the drying paint. Fashion is the business end of art, and even Ahmed's house of style finally succumbed to the tyranny of assimilation. His hand-painted sign was corporatized into the stigmata of avarice, a logo. Straight razors and angry bristle brushes were gone, replaced by a selection of hair care chemicals that signs assured us hadn't been tested on baby rabbits, and wouldn't blind or kill the people who used them. Even the aftershave, Ambrosia de Ahmed, had vanished, but I was lucky enough to arrive in time to save the mirror, starred with pictures of Ahmed's free haircuts, each one like the death photo of an outlaw, murdered by justice. "Not the mirror," I said, stopping small men with big hammers from smashing it off the wall. "Salam alaikum, Lynn," Ahmed said. "The whole place is being renovated for Ahmed's new house of style." "Wa alaikum salam." "Not the mirror." I had my back to the mirror, my arms wide to stop the hammers. Carla was standing beside Ahmed, her arms folded, a cheeky smile playing in the garden of her eyes. "The mirror has to go, Lynn," Ahmed said. "It doesn't fit with the new look." "This mirror goes with every look," I protested. "Not with this look," Ahmed said, sliding a brochure from a pile, and handing it to me. I looked the picture over, and handed it back. "It looks like a place to eat sushi," I said. "People can't argue politics and insult each other in a place like that, Ahmed, even with the mirror." "New policy," he said. "No insults. No politics, religion or sex." "Are you mad, Ahmed? Censorship, in a barber shop?" I looked at Carla, and she was having a pretty good time. "Come on," I pleaded. "There has to be at least one place where nobody kisses anybody on the ass." Ahmed gave me a stern look. It wasn't his own stern look. It was the stern look on a handsome face beneath a pompadour haircut, in a catalog of cuts and styles for the new house of style. I flipped through the pictures, knowing that Ahmed was probably proud of it, because he'd illegally included photos of movie stars and prominent businessmen to give the collection currency. I didn't want to hurt his feelings, but for me the catalog was the wrong set of victims. "You can't break the mirror, Ahmed. Will you sell it to me, exactly as it is?" Carla asked. "Are you serious?" "Yes, Ahmed. Is it for sale?" "It would take me some time to clean off the pictures," he said thoughtfully. I'd like it with the pictures, if you don't mind, Ahmed. It's perfect as it is. I love you, Carla, I thought. Very well, Miss Carla. Would, say, 1,000 rupees, including transport and installation, be acceptable to you? It would. Carla smiled, handing him the money. I've got a free wall in my place, and I've been trying to think what to put on it. If your men can remove it carefully, and set it up for me again at the Amritsar Hotel today, I'd be much obliged. Done, Ahmed said, signaling the hammermen to stand down. I'll walk you out. On the street, Ahmed looked left and right to make sure that no one could hear, and leaned close. I will still do house calls, he whispered. Strictly off the books, of course, and top secret. I don't want people thinking I'm not wholehearted in the new house of style. Now, that's good news, I said. So, Carla whispered, if we were to gather a group of argumentative, very insulting men at our place, you'd be happy to come by and create Ahmed's old house of style? You've already got the mirror, Ahmed smiled. And I will really miss the dangerous discussions in the new house of style. Done, Carla said, shaking hands with him. Ahmed looked at me, frowned, and straightened my collar so that it stood up at the back of my neck. When are you going to buy a jacket with sleeves in it, Lynn? When you start selling them at the new house of style, I said. Allah Hafiz. Salam, salam, he laughed. We rode away, and then Carla told me that the mirror was my second birthday present, reminding me, again, that it was my birthday, which I'd happily forgotten. Please don't tell anyone else, I called over my shoulder. I know, she called back. You like celebrating other people's birthdays, and forgetting your own. Your secret's safe with me. I love you, Carla. I was thinking that, just before. And thanks, for the mirror. You really got me there. I always get you there. We had more time to get one another, and ride and share a drink and eat meals together, because I sold my money change operation to Jagat, for the 25% he was already giving me. He managed the racket better than I did, and earned more money, respect and discipline from the shopkeeper changers. The fact that a year or so before he ran my bing he'd cut the little finger off a thief who stole from him added a certain sting to his slap. I couldn't visit Half Moon Auntie in the fish market again, because Carla recruited her. You want me to run your books? Half Moon Auntie asked. Who knows more about keeping people's money safe than you do, Half Moon Auntie? Carla said, facing pointed quarters of the moon. That's true, Half Moon Auntie replied, considering. But it could be a big job. Not that big, Carla said. We only keep one set of books. I am accustomed to my regular visitors, Half Moon Auntie said, leaning forward and beginning an orbital drift toward Half Moon. What you do behind your closed door is your business, Carla said. What you do when the door is open is our business. If you're interested, I have a friend, named Randall, who has a limousine. It's parked below my building, most of the time. A limousine, Half Moon Auntie said thoughtfully. With blackout windows and a long mattress in the back. I will consider it, Half Moon Auntie replied, lifting one foot effortlessly behind her head. And a few days later she considered her way into an apartment office, under our rooms at the Amritsar Hotel, where Carla had rented the whole floor. Half Moon Auntie's office was next to two others, already painted and furnished. One room bore the title Blue Hijab Marriage Counseling Services. The Muslim communist, or communist Muslim, had reunited with Memu earlier than expected, and she'd called Carla, asking if the offer of a partnership was still open. She's not here, yet, I said, when the brass sign was attached to the door. She will be, Carla smiled. Inshallah. What's the third office for? Surprises, she purred. You have no idea what surprises I have in store for you, Shantaram. Can you surprise me with dinner? I'm starving. We were having dinner in the front garden of a Kalaba Back Bay bistro, when we heard shouting from the street, a few steps away. A car had stopped beside a man walking on the road. The men in the car were shouting for money he owed them. Two of the men got out of the car. As we looked at the commotion, I saw that the man was Kesh, the memory man. He had his hands over his head as the two thugs began to hit him. Carla and I got up from the table and joined Kesh. We made enough noise for them to get back in the car and drive away. Carla helped Kesh to sit with us at the table. A glass of water, please, she called to the waiter. Are you all right, Kesh? I'm okay, Miss Carla, he said, rubbing a knot of bad debt on the top of his head. I'll go, now. He stood to leave, but we pulled him back into his chair. Have dinner with us, Kesh, Carla said. You can test your memory against ours. You're pretty good, but my money's on us. I really shouldn't. You really should, I said, waving the waiter to our table. Kesh looked at the menu carefully, closed it and made his choices. The zucchini, black olive and crushed artichoke paste risotto, the waiter repeated. The iceberg, seasoned with cracked pepper, ginger and pistachio sauce, and a tiramisu. You're incorrect, Kesh said. The cracked pepper, ginger and pistachio sauce is with the rocket salad, which is number 77 on your menu. The iceberg is with lemon garlic, chili pepper and walnut avocado sauce, which is number 76 on your menu. The waiter opened his mouth to reply, but his mental scan of the menu confirmed Kesh's correction, and he walked away, shaking his head. What's the problem, Kesh? I asked. I owe money, he said, smiling from the side of his disillusion. The memory man business isn't what it used to be. People are using phones for everything now. Pretty soon, the whole world will be able to communicate with anyone, so long as they're not actually there. You know what? I suggested, as the food arrived. Grab a taxi and come to the Amritsar Hotel after this. We'll be there ahead of you, on the bike. What have you got in mind? Carla squinted at me, lashes like lace. Surprises, I tried to purr. You have no idea what surprises I have in store for you, Carla. Didier was certainly surprised when I brought Kesh into his office, next to Carla's at the Amritsar. I do not see the requirement for his services, Didier said, sitting professionally at his desk beside Naveen's. Kesh is the best memory man in the South, Didier, Naveen observed, sitting professionally at his own desk. What did you have in mind, Lynn? You know how you said that people always freeze up when you record their witness statements? They see the recorder and they freeze up? Yeah, Kesh can be your recorder. He remembers every conversation he hears. He can be your human recorder, and people will talk naturally in front of him. I like it, Carla laughed. You do? Didier doubted. I'll hire him right now if you don't, Didier. Hired, Didier said. We have an interview with a millionaire and his wife, tomorrow morning at 10. Their daughter has gone missing. You can attend, but your mode of dress must be more executive in appearance. See you guys later, I said, pulling Kesh with us from their office. In the corridor outside I gave him some money. He tried to stop me. You have to clear all your debts tonight, Kesh, I said. We don't want those guys showing up around here. And you're going straight tomorrow morning, remember? Go around and pay everyone off. Get clean and be here at 9. Be the first one here and the last to leave. You'll do fine. He started to cry. I stepped back a pace and let Carla take over. She hugged him and he calmed down quickly. You know what Didier said, about dressing like an executive? I said, yes. I'll try to. To hell with that. Dress like you are. Act like you are. People will talk to you, just like I'm talking to you, and you'll be good at this. If Didier hassles you, tell him I ordered you not to dress like a slave. He's right, Kesh, Carla said. Just be yourself, and everything will be fine. Okay, I said. Go and pay those debts tonight, man. Get yourself clear. He took each downward step on the stairway as if it was a new level of consideration, pausing before taking the next pondered step. His head bobbed out of sight around the curved staircase. I watched him out of sight thoughtfully, and then turned to see Carla smiling at me. I love you, Shantaram, she said, kissing me. Sometime later, Kesh solved 2 cases within 2 weeks, and became the star of the Lost Love Bureau.